Hello, I'm Joe Galvin, Chief Research Officer of Vistage Worldwide. Welcome to the Vistage Coaching Spotlight, a video series dedicated to exploring the challenges and opportunities facing CEOs and leaders around the globe. In each episode, we'll be talking to some of the world's best and brightest executive coaches, senior mentors who are in the trenches with business leaders every day, guiding them to make better decisions and become even more effective leaders. Today, we're speaking with Shawn Woods. Shawn is a Vistage chair based in Bloomingdale, Illinois. Shawn, welcome to the Vistage Chair Spotlight. You took a non-traditional path to get to where you are today. Share with us what about your background gives you a unique perspective to help CEOs become better leaders.
You're absolutely right, Joe. It has been a non-traditional background. I've been driven to turn obstacles into opportunities. I pride myself on finding the possible and impossible, and I've done that throughout my entire life. After serving as a human resources and organizational development executive, I started a trucking and logistics business, and it failed. And then I had to go back to the drawing board. I founded a real estate development and investment company and grew it into a multi-million-dollar portfolio. And then I lost it all during the 2008 recession. I had to regroup, Joe. And then I founded two successful businesses, another real estate development and investment company, and then a global professional development and executive coaching organization. It's there, Joe, that I learned how to specialize in people and leadership. And now I get to say I'm a Vistage chair. As a Vistage chair, I get to help individuals become better leaders, make better decisions, and get better results.
Well, Shawn, the Vistage chair is someone well known to those in our community as a coach, as a guide, as a mentor. In your role, you are engaging with and talking to CEOs in the Bloomingdale area all the time. What are the challenges that you hear leaders talking about right now that they're facing?
Of the many, I'll sum it up with the pandemic. But Joe, I'm seeing a trend with the CEO peer group that I lead, as well as CEOs that I talk to and engage with daily. One of the most impactful topics that's facing CEOs today is employees leaving, talent management, summed up as the Great Resignation.
Yeah, the Great Resignation is something that's getting a lot of airplay out there. A lot of people talk about it and think about it in different ways because it's much more than a resignation. What are your thoughts on this?
You're absolutely right. Sometimes I call it the Great Resignation. Sometimes I call it the Great Renegotiation. It's where employees are reevaluating their employment situations. And in an escalated pace, these employees versus history, they're choosing a different course. What the Great Resignation is, or what it has sparked, in large part due to the COVID-19 pandemic. However, it continues to allow these employees to reassess their work prioritization and also begin to capitalize on employee leverage. Now, Joe, what that means is, although the biggest impacts have been in the accommodation and food service sectors, as I talk to CEOs, the private sector has been greatly impacted and hit, and it's at an all-time high. I think 4.3 million workers, according to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics that came out.
Yeah, well, a portion of that are folks that age out. We have the demographic of the boomers moving through, and there are some folks for a variety of reasons leave and don't come back. But by and large, people don't quit unless they got somewhere to go. And evidence there is 76% of Vistage members, Vistage businesses, are increasing headcount in the year ahead. And this really speaks to your point about, is it a big quit or is it really a migration? Is it an evolution of the workforce? How do you see that? And more importantly, what do you hear CEOs talk about when they talk about retention rates and people quitting? Is that a challenge for them?
It is. It's an impact, and it's impacting all CEOs across all organizations. So ultimately what you see is let's talk about a little bit about why they leave. I say dissatisfaction with their current work environment. And you're right, they need somewhere to go, but it's measured against potential opportunities in the new work environment. So if I had to talk about that for a moment, Joe, I'd say that people are assessing, I call it as is versus to be. And let me tell you what I mean by that. People are assessing their as is state. That's what are my current working conditions, my growth potential, my ability to add value to this organization, my personal and professional achievements. Do I have flexibility? Do I have work-life balance? And do I have the right compensation package? And am I satisfied? Now that's the as is. Bringing that over to the to be, what is it that I want my life to look like, right? What is my to be state? Can I work 100% remotely? Can I get a promotion? Do I need to move to another company? Am I investing more time at work than I am with my family? And can I earn more pay with less stress elsewhere?
It certainly is a different world than following the Great Recession of 08, 09, when there were 10 applicants for every job. Now it seems like there's 10 jobs for every applicant. What do you see the smart CEOs doing to address this challenge? How do you see the folks that are see this as opportunity in dealing with the Great Resignation, with the talent scarcity, with getting and retaining the most from your employees?
Excellent question. I say what's happening, Joe, is before I even get to the CEOs, which is an awesome question, people go through and they make these mental assessments of their as is versus their to be state. And then that's when they start to make these different employment choices. Sometimes it's moving to another company, and sometimes it's leaving the workplace altogether. So for the CEO, it's the same. Another talent loss, incremental cost, and time associated with the recruitment and retention or recruitment and training new employees. So to get to your question, when I'm giving advice to CEOs, I remind them change is constant, it's necessary, and it's inevitable. And that's true of business environments, right? To get the most of your assets, you have to look beyond profitability and start looking at one of the most valuable assets, the people.
Yeah. Well, why do you think most people leave? I mean, there is with so much pressure and so much opportunity of higher wages, people, you hear these stories, people getting more money here, more money there. What is it that you think that really make people leave? But more importantly, what as a leader can you do to change that? Because if you're trying to hire, but you're losing people, it creates a death spiral almost.
It does. And people needs are constantly changing. If people needs are constantly changing, Joe, organizations need to ensure they're changing in accordance. It's no different than technology. Several years back, we were using floppy drives or portable hard drives. Now things are up there in the cloud, right? People resources are no different. Therefore, CEOs must be evaluating and updating how they're investing in their people assets. So one of the things that I'm advising is the CEOs, if employees are doing as is versus to be, CEOs should do the same thing. Where are we today? What does career planning entail at this organization? What investments am I making in my people assets like training and development? Is our corporate culture inclusive? Is compensation equitable compared to the marketplace? Do we have flexibility? Is there consistency in our application process? Now, Joe, that's just a few of the questions that I pose to CEOs. Now, I'm not done there. After understanding the as is, the CEOs must be able to understand the to be. What is it that my people want in this organization? How do they feel about our culture? Do they feel engaged, motivated, and valued?
It's a strong argument you make about the importance of building culture, and that your hiring strategy has to be based foundationally on your retention strategy, what you do for the people that you have. Well, that's just one of the issues people are changing. But as you look ahead, right, hopefully we're moved through, we're the other side of COVID, and we're moving to whatever that next or new normal would be. What's the most important thing for CEOs to keep their eye on? When you look ahead and when you talk to CEOs about what they're thinking about, what do you think that is?
I would say the Great Resignation is not anything that's going away in the near term. The things they should keep their eye on is what can they do about the change that's happening. As a matter of fact, I think this is going to continue to be a trend. Employees are expecting things now. They're expecting increased work flexibility and benefits. As such, a CEO needs to begin to think about the formalization of employee experience programs. And remember, Joe, compensation is not the number one reason why employees stay or leave an organization. As I said a few seconds ago, employees want to feel valued, motivated, engaged. They want to trust and respect the companies that they work for. Organizations should start to put themselves in the driver's seat. Start focusing on your talent through these comprehensive employee experience programs. Joe, I can give you 50, but for the sake of time, let me just tell you about a few. Formalized mentoring programs, external coaches. I always say things like tuition reimbursement, well-being programs. We used to focus on the physical safety. Now we need to focus on the mental safety of our employees. Flexible work weeks, maybe 3 days in the office this week, 4 days next week. Equity, diversity, and inclusion. And more importantly, Joe, continuous learning. Like the things we do with CEOs. We have these CEO peer advisory groups, but we also have key groups, trusted advisor groups, emerging leaders groups, so CEOs can get the same leadership message up, down, and throughout the organization.
One of the things that we've learned in our data, our research has shown, is this growing significance and importance of leadership development for leaders between the CEO and the workers. Well, before we go, Shawn, you got a final thought. What's the best piece of advice you can give to leaders today? We're in this turbulent environment. Nobody's crystal ball. The crystal ball has never been more cloudy. What advice would you give to folks?
CEOs, Joe, have to demonstrate that they not only have to focus on profitability and growing their business, they must have a vested interest in the well-being of their people. Workplace health and safety, both physical and mental. I say reimagine workspaces that support hybrid learning. Have established employee experience programs. These things will increase the employee loyalty and engagement if it's executed properly. Now, employees are going to continue to examine and prioritize their relationships with work. If organizations aren't doing the same, they're going to find that they're well behind the 8 ball. So, Joe, my final thought on this is change is constant. CEOs need to have an agile mindset that's open to and adapting to change, not only as it relates to their business environment, but their people resources. If change is the only constant and it's not the change that does people in, it's the transition, we need to think ahead, prepare, and transition accordingly, and we'll come out on top.
Shawn, thank you so much for your time today. Some great insights. Thanks for watching the Vistage Coaching Spotlight. If you enjoyed this talk, be sure to share it with colleagues who will find it valuable. For more information and guidance on the top issues you're facing as a leader, visit www.vistage.com. Thank you very much. Have a great day.